Guys, I got a really controversial hot take here. I actually like the World Heavyweight Championship. And I'm very excited for the draft and the brand split. I know, shocking, right? Let's discuss. This morning I reacted to the reveal of the World Heavyweight Championship on Raw. And I was very excited for it. I thought it looked really cool. I think I was interested in it. I thought it looked like a nice belt. But the Discord online has been very, very split. A lot of negative thoughts. And I just wanted to discuss it because I personally don't see why people hate on it so much. It's weird to me. So, the World Heavyweight Championship, the brand new World Heavyweight Championship, it looks like the big gold belt with the WWE logo on it. And I think that's fine. It looks much better than the big WWE logos that we have for the men's, women's, and like the WWE, the Universal, the Women's Championships, Raw and SmackDown all look awful. They're big, just big logos with different colour straps. This is a much better looking title. The people are like, oh, this title doesn't look very good. I'm like, have you seen the other titles? Like, this is the best looking title that WWE have developed since the Big Gold was retired, since the Undisputed Championship. We went from the Undisputed Championship to the god-awful spinner belt, and now we have these big logo belts. I feel like this new belt looks 1,000 times better than what we already have. And I think, yeah, okay, maybe it doesn't look like the Winged Eagle belt or the Attitude Era belt, but I think this is a much better step in the right direction. Yeah, okay, maybe corporate was like, yes, just put the WWE logo on it so it's recognizable. But, like, every brand does that. Like, UFC has the UFC logo on it. AEW has the AEW logo on it. I think it's fine to have the logo on the belt. And I think the belt itself looks a lot better than what we currently have. The belts that Roman is holding, they don't look as good as this. I think this one looks much better. It looks much better than the Jam Universal title that we got, the red strap. The blue strap, and then the women's titles just white with blue or white with red. I mean, they're all the same belt, just with different colour straps. I don't understand why people will be complaining about this new belt when it's actually original and different. It looks like Big Gold and the Intercontinental title kind of merged into this new belt, and I'm totally down for it. I'm really excited for it, and I think it looks great, personally. Then that also brings me on to my next subject I wanted to talk about: the brand split, this brand extension, the draft. So I was just listening to Bryan Alvarez talking on his podcast, and he was talking about how he thinks it's stupid that we're getting a new title for Raw, and he doesn't get why we're having a brand split, and he's like, well, they should just have everyone overlapping and all that. And I feel like, Brian, I really think you're a good journalist, I really appreciate you, but have you watched Raw? Have you watched Raw since Roman Reigns has become the undisputed Universal World Champion? Where Roman Reigns never shows up, and the biggest prize on the show is the US title. How many times can we watch Austin Theory versus Bobby Lashley versus Seth Rollins in different combinations of matches? It's just been those three guys fighting for the US title for a year. And you had Austin Theory doing possibly the worst cash-in of all time on the US title. And it completely nullified and made the Money in the Bank title look pathetic. The US title is, as much as they want to elevate it, will never be a world championship. And it will never be seen in the same light as a world championship. I think as Roman has become a part-timer, and he's only ever really on SmackDown, I think it makes sense to have another world championship. I think it makes sense to try and build up another guy. The fact that we have Cody as your main guy on Raw facing Brock for no championship or no stakes is weird to me. I feel like that match should be for a world championship. Personally, that's my opinion. I feel like that having a world championship on Raw makes perfect sense if you're having Roman Reigns on SmackDown. I also think the brand split is a great idea to give people more chance to see different superstars. You have a roster on Raw and a roster on SmackDown, and if you keep them apart, you got more variety. You get to see more superstars instead of the same 4 or 5 superstars over and over and over again. As much as I love the Bloodline storyline, I'm fed up of seeing the Usos, Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens on every episode of Raw and SmackDown repeating themselves. Oh, is Kevin Owens going to turn on Sami Zayn? Oh, is Jay going to turn on the Bloodline? Okay, are they? Get to the point. We've got this is the same storyline we've had since WrestleMania. They've not changed. They've done this storyline to death. They built it up to like, oh, WrestleMania is going to be the end of this storyline, and it's not. It's still going. I feel like they need to split people up, give new fresh matchups, and, you know, okay, maybe if SmackDown has the same storyline going over and over again, at least Raw will have different people and down a different storyline. It gives a chance for a bit of diversity and a bit of change in product and not the same stuff over and over and over again. I think the brand split is a fantastic idea and I'm really looking forward to it. The only real issue I have is the fact that they put both belts on Roman and they fixed that issue. Yes, they fixed it in the probably the worst way they could have, and they basically booked themselves into a corner. But at least they're solving this issue and putting a world title on Raw to fix the massive gaping hole on Raw. That, I mean, if you've watched Raw over the last year, yeah, maybe the viewership might be up, but it's been awful to watch. Without a world champion, it has been an awful product to watch. The US title is not a world title. I'm sorry, it's not, and it never will be. And I feel like we need a world champion to represent Raw. And then we'll have two faces of the company, one on Raw, one on SmackDown. And I think that makes more sense for WWE instead of just building everything around Roman, who is hardly ever there. And that's my personal opinion. I think the world title is a great idea. I think the brand split's a great idea. And I think the draft's a great idea. And I'm really looking forward to it. And I'm really hoping that I'm right. Maybe I'll be wrong. Maybe it'll be awful. But I personally think this is a step in the right direction. But do you agree? Do you agree with Bryan Alvarez or do you agree with me? If you agree with Bryan Alvarez, that's fine, because obviously he knows what he's talking about. But I personally, when I watched that video, I didn't agree with anything he had to say when it came to the brand split. And I gave ratings are up, but if you watch the product, it's not as good with the crossovers. I feel like a hard brand split will be very good for the product, personally. And yeah, okay, we might have a secondary champion, but I never felt like, yeah, AJ Styles was the secondary WWE champion to the Universal title on Raw, but he never felt secondary. He felt like a bona fide champion. Yeah, Kofi was a secondary champion. Yeah, there's a lot of, there's a lot of secondary championships matches, but they can be elevated to bigger matches. It just depends who holds the belt. I think if you put a belt on Seth Rollins, or build up Finn Balor, or you build up someone else, and you build this world title up, it can feel legitimate. Like Triple H being the world champion when the WWE Championship was moved over to SmackDown, I felt Triple H felt legitimate when he had his Reign of Terror, and it could be legitimate again, personally. And that is it. That's all I have to say. A little bit of a ranty video, but I just had to get off my chest. I just thought I wanted to get off my chest and see what I had. I had it like bottled up after watching that video. After watching Bryan Alvarez talk, I was like, no, I disagree. And after listening to a lot of podcasts today, I feel like I needed to just rant and get it out of my system. Thank you guys for watching. If you agree, as I said, if you agree, let me know in the comments below. If you disagree, let me know in the comments below. I would love to hear your opinions on this. Let me know what you guys think. And until next time, too sweet. Let's go.
We're on the road to 5K. Join Potato Club today and too sweet that subscribe button.